Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Politics affects everybody.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
it really just, whether or not you're directly affected,
yes,
it affects you in some sort of way, whether directly or indirectly.
And that is what is so important for us to actually see what's going on. So Nabu, what about you? Now I went from the Gen Zs to the millennials now.
I'm a Gen Xer actually.
Are you a Gen? I thought you were still millennial, brother.
Nah, just I moisturize.
Hey, but you know what is so funny? You know the Gen X ends. They said the Gen X ends in like 61, depending on which one you're doing. So I am like begging to believe that, because I so don't want to be that baby boomer. I so don't want to be that.
Man, you're pretty much a Gen Xer. You're pretty much a Gen Xer.
Well, coming from you,
I'm telling you,
that means everything, bro. That means everything. Now I'm almost there with the. I'm almost there getting the complete setup done on that line. But anyway, we're gonna get busy. The title of the show today, folks, is. Oh, yes, you guys can hear it now. I'm glad to hear that, my folks on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Okay, independent progressive media must take the mic from Trump and talk a new economy. And the subtitle is, Donald Trump has had the mic long enough, and the mainstream media made him lead the discourse. It's time for the independent progressive media to take over, talk new economy. Do you remember there were days during both the Obama and Bush administration when the name of the president went virtually unuttered? Do you remember that, Nabu?
Oh, yeah.
You could go a day, you could go several days, and guess what? There was no mention, right?
Yeah.
And then now, what happens?
We can't even escape it.
We can't escape it. We cannot escape it. So, look, let me tell you, even as the media has always been derelict in its duty with issues that matter to most Americans, there was at least some oxygen left to get issues that mattered. There was oxygen left to get things talked about, to do things. Donald Trump is all-consuming, and in the 2 years he has played president, and notice what I said, in the 2 years he has played president. I didn't say in the 2 years he's been president.
Wow.
I said in the 2 years he has played president. Nothing of substance other than the theft, the wealth transfer to the least deserving, the billionaires that pilfer us all most have occurred. So we have to keep all of this in perspective, people. Let's remember that. Nothing in the last 2 years has happened. And part of the reason nothing has happened in those years, folks, it's not because of Trump. It's because of us. Let's remember that. It's because of us. We allowed this guy the microphone. We started to continue listening to the pieces of media that allowed this guy the microphone. Guess what we have to do now? We have to stop it. And I have that in the blog of the week we're going to talk about later on. But, we will talk about real issues today. I will touch on what I think the economy should look like. And I hope to get input from all of you. I hope to get input from Lupita. I hope to get input from Nabu. Let me tell you something, folks. The economy belongs to you. The economy should be made for you. We shouldn't try to have you tailor yourself to some economy because some wealthy guys decide that is the way the system is supposed to work. We have to realize who are the folks that are in power here, and that's what we're going to talk about. But anyhow, before I get to the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig,
on
Mondays from 3 to 4.
And then we have Open Journal with
Dwayne Bradley and his crew.
Absolutely so, and that is
Also Mondays from 6 to 7 p.m.
Then we have Jazz Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its very best, hosted by
Juan Flores
on Tuesdays
from noon to 2.
And that was a hour before our program.
That's
and
right,
then
that's
we
right.
have your program. I mean, and you know, you made my list, Nabu. Okay?
I know.
You guys have made my list because from the time I started listening to you guys, I fell in love with that program. And it's called Generation Radio. And it features Nabu, the person, that voice, that real voice that you're hearing right there. Tell me about your program, Nabu. I usually kind of bastardize it.
It's a world music program, and we started off playing South Asian music and Middle Eastern music, but now it's going everywhere. So last week we did a little cumbia. So it's good. It's getting Latin. It's getting North African. It's getting African. So it's just a world music show. And you can check it out right after this
It is
show.
right after Politics Done Right, folks. You have got to check this show out. You don't only learn about music in this show. You hear some stuff that keep that head bopping.
That's right.
Of course, we have Really But Not Really, a hip-hop and R&B parody show on Wednesdays at...
On Wednesdays at, I believe, it's 10 p.m.
Right, and we have Border Radio, which is, when is Border Radio again?
Border Radio from 4 to 6.
On Thursdays. You got to check that baby out. And then we have Black on Both Sides, a public affairs program with an effort to highlight politics and public affairs with the individual in mind, and that is on Fridays at 12 to 2 o'clock on HD2. So, folks, check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to the eclectic to medicine, everything. KPFT is a listener-supported public community radio station, so please, 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 if you like what you're here, if you realize the need for this program, if you realize that progressive must have a 100,000-watt station that can blast throughout Texas, you have to keep us funded. We beg you to keep us funded. It is in your interest to be invested and keep us funded. Because you know what, folks? Absent that, we're nowhere. We don't get anywhere. So, folks, remember that. We have to remain a viable community radio station that provides news programming and information not influenced by whom?
The corporatocracy.
Absolutely, my friends. We have to be independent. So, folks, what are your thoughts? This program belongs to you. And you hear a lot of people talk like that all the time, right? We mean it. This program belongs to you. You can call in. I don't care of what ideology you are of. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, anarchist, chemist, anything. You can call in and say your piece because you are respected and we are here to provide you with this information, folks. So please, please, please don't forget, this is your show. But do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Now, folks, it is time for the weekly blog post, and I am trying to find my weekly blog post. It's not as easy to do it when you're on the phone. You know, I forgot my pad at home, you know. But guess what? I have my weekly blog post. The title of the blog post is as follows. Folks, if you're just listening to the show, please share this program on your Facebook page, on your thread. Share this program everywhere, please. It is so important because that is how we make progress. Anyway, title of the blog of the week, Shut Off Trump's Mic. Shut up, Trump. And let's talk about new economy once and for all. Are you tired of turning on the TV, radio, or scanning your social media feed and finding Trump all over them? It is time to take away the mic from Donald Trump. And guess who can do that? You can. Guess who can do that? You can. When you sit down and you turn on MSNBC and you hear my good friend Rachel Maddow talking about Russia all of the times, or you hear Chris Hayes talking about Donald Trump all of the times, or you hear Michael or all these guys talking, you can turn the channel. You can listen to say, you know what? I'm going to listen to Progressive Voices on KPFT. I'm going to listen to the Progressive News on some other channel. You have to start giving a chance to independent media. The KPFTs of the world. This morning, well, I'll talk about that a little later. We have to open up our minds to other sources of information when we know we're bombarded with junk. There are several ways to do that. One is for the mainstream media to correct the errors of their way. They can take the mic away from Trump by intentionally ignoring his tweets and making it clear to Trump they will go solely with his media team. We should not hold our breath for that. The mainstream media are timid. They have no desire to buck either their advertisers or the Trump administration. They don't want to do that. They will not do that. The only way they will ever do that is if you force them to do that. And you know how you force them to do that? Not having your eyeballs forces them to change. Eyeballs are everything to them. There's a more intentional manner to take the mic away from Trump. It requires some responsibility on the part of each American. It means that they must limit their intakes of cable news and broadcast news. It is clear these resources were not very helpful in informing Americans in such a manner that made them vote their interests. So remember, we are voting the way we're voting, not because we're stupid. We're voting the way we're voting, not because we're idiots. We are voting the way we're voting because of how we were informed. And when people blame Trumpists for voting for Trump, I am a bit more sympathetic. I'm a bit more empathetic to these people. Why? Because I understand you develop your trust network. And after you develop your trust network, you give them a break. You give that trust network a break. And that's what happens with the Fox News viewer. So if there's an intermittent Fox News viewer in their car listening to KPFT right now, I'm going to say, brother or sister, give KPFT a chance and listen to us as well. Listen to what we're going to talk about and then weigh it, please. You know, I am not one of those that are going to call you out and say, oh, what the kind of person that you are. I'm going to tell you, please, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat or whatever. Listen, just give us a chance. See if what we're saying makes sense. And don't just say, oh, we're cookie cutters. We're just these crazy liberals or crazy progressives in my crazy left-winger democratic socialists or whatever. Don't do that. See the policies that we support. See if it makes sense to you. See if it will make your life better. And if it does, and then you start to say, but we can't have it, ask yourself why. You can have it. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here to tell you. There is enough money in this country for all to live a great upper middle class life. The total aggregate dollars in this country says that everybody has the opportunity to have. They don't want you to know that because right now our economy is designed to aggregate money at the top. They don't tell you how it happens. They make you believe that that is by design, God-given, divine. It is not. Our goal with our shows, our goal at Politics Done Right is to tell you, my brothers and my sisters, there are other ways, okay? There are other ways. Freedom comes in many forms. And we are going to, sorry about that, I still have my cold. Freedom comes in different ways. And what we want to do is liberate everybody. Right now, the only people liberated in this country are those with capital. It's why it's called a capitalist country. You have the semblance of freedom. You have the semblance of freedom, but you're a slave to the corporation. We want a new economy. We want a new economy where everybody has the right to succeed, access to success. That's what we're talking about. And this is not, oh, well, if that lazy person don't want to work, we're just going to give them everything. Absolutely not. But everybody must have access to success. There is a more intentional manner to take the mic away from Trump. It requires some responsibility on the part of each American. It means that they must limit their intake of cable news and broadcast news. It is clear these resources were not helpful to them. So we want you. We want you to share us. We want you to tell others about us so that we can try to have a dialogue, so that we can try to talk and show, hey, there are other ways. There are other ways. And what is their interest? We need a new economy. It is clear the current economy is failing most, as most of the spoils go to the undeserving few. And notice I said most of the spoils, most of the money goes to the undeserving few. Why do I call the few undeserving? Why do I call them the undeserving few? Folks, I call them the undeserving few because they are undeserving. Let's get something straight. I tell you what. When you design a product, when an engineer designs a product, right, he gets a fixed salary. When the corporatocracy hires people to put that product out, they make the most aggregate the aggregate marginal increase on what that product sells for goes to the folks who has nothing to do with the engineering, nothing to do with the invention, nothing to do with the packaging. It's a failed system that does not reward those who most are responsible for any particular product, good, or service. If that sounds a little bit complicated in the way I've said it, I'm sorry. I can explain better. Folks, call and ask. But please do, because I want people to really understand that the folks with power are the ones that are least compensated in this country. And we have to get over that. So, this does not require a revolution. In order for us to change this economy, does not require a revolution, where blood is spilled and all of that. Because we are in a different system. An intellectual revolution is what we need. This does not require a revolution as we had in the old days. It requires a revolution of thought. All of this requires a different thought process. All of this requires having self-worth. I've wrote a blog a few years ago called Americans Must Assert Their Worth. Americans are yet, and when I say Americans, I'm not talking about you as an individual. I'm talking about Americans in the aggregate. Americans are yet to assert their worth. We are the country that produces the most, the highest forms of technology. All these things are produced here. The educational system here. And you know what people do? People come and they get it here and they go off, and a few people make it and most don't. That is the truth of how our system works. So we must first come to the realization that each of us individually matters and that we still have power. We still have the power to vote in any candidate of choice, but to ensure we get the candidate of choice requires that we turn out the misinformation or turn off the misinforming sources. It does not mean we remain devoid of external news and information. It means getting it from the correct sources. KPFT, Politics Done Right, the independent progressive media. We are here to serve you. That is our goal. We are here to serve. We're not here to make a profit from the information that we provide. We are here to serve. We are here to serve. Okay? We are here to serve. So, what should a new economy look like? I appeared on WUSB in Long Island this morning and discussed this with progressive host Jim Lynch. He asked me the same question. He said, Egberto, what does a new economy look like to you? And I'm like, it's not all that difficult, because a new economy looks like what most of us know plus benefits. And let me explain what you do. I have a contractor. My house flooded the last, not this flood, the last big rainstorm found a defect in my house, okay? Where the patio, I have a little patio thing that it started to leak into the kitchen and the whole darn floor got flooded. So I brought my contractor in. He's a Russian, okay? And we started talking. He's a Trump Russian. He's a Trump Russian who loves Obamacare. And he loves Obama for Obamacare, but he hates Obama. And he loves Trump. Okay? So it shows you the way people think based on the news. And by the way, he's a very, very intelligent man. Okay? He's a very intelligent man. But the way that he is able to compartmentalize issues, I found fascinating when I spoke to him yesterday. I told him yesterday, I said, you are going to be on my show. And I will have a Russian Obamacare-loving Trump supporter on my show sometime soon. Think about that. And why did I bring that up? Because he is a perfect instantiation of what I want to explain a new economy looks like. He is a Russian who loves Obamacare, loves his freedom of being able to be a contractor all over the place, doing his own thing in the free enterprise system, but having fairly good medical care and being able to exist. So when Jim Lynch this morning at WUSB in Long Island said, Egberto, what is a new economy to you? I said the new economy has two pieces. First of all, capitalism as it stands today does not work. It is a failure. It is also something that has stolen the excess labor of millions of Americans throughout its existence. In other words, you drive a car. Can you name the person who invented the car? Is the family of the person who invented the car still making some sort of a royalty off of it, or has it all gone to Ford, GM, and all these companies? And if you answer the latter, you would be right. That's capitalism. You've sold your intellect at a very small price, and they continue to profit over it ever and ever, forever and ever. That's capitalism for you. We've turned everything into a product. You get sick, we turn getting you better into a product. So therefore, yesterday I was watching TV and a commercial came off and my wife was sitting down and she kind of liked the commercial. It talked about cancer. It talked about, hey, I'm sorry, it wasn't cancer. It was about women having babies. It spoke about a 40-something-year-old woman who wanted to have a baby. And she looked at the commercial and the commercial said, yes, go to one of our medical centers and you can have a baby even if you're at 40 years old. It didn't quite say it like that, but that's what they meant. So when that commercial came on, my wife liked it. And I said, you know what, though? That is evil. That commercial is evil, but we have been programmed not to understand that commercial is evil. There are hundreds of thousands, there are millions of 40-year-old women out there. And that commercial is saying, most of you 40-year-old women who want to have a baby, if you can't afford to pay us the several $1,000s that it will cost for you to have a baby, shame on you. You won't have one. But if some woman can afford to pay the $40,000 to this private company to have a baby, a health issue, a biological issue, hey, you are in the game. Wait a minute. Can you see the immorality? Can you see the evil? Folks, that we have been taught to think that is okay. We have been taught to think that is okay. No, it's not. No, it is not. This system can afford everybody medical care that is paid based on how much you make. In other words, there are no freeloaders. But it gives you the option, folks. We can have the option. We can have the option that everybody can live a good life. It means that there will be no billionaires. Nobody's worth $1 billion. You know what? Bill Gates is a nice guy, but he ain't worth $1 billion. Warren Buffett is a nice guy, but he's not worth $1 billion. I am sorry. Every dollar that he has is the labor of somebody else uncompensated. We have to start thinking outside of the box. We have to start thinking the way things really are and not the way capitalists have told us to think. And that is what I'm trying to move on. That is what I'm trying to get into the ethos. Because, folks, when we get there, then we will understand that we deserve a new economy. So now I'm going to go to the phones and start taking questions. And the phone number, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Folks, the floor is yours, and this is your call. I have all lines open. Come on in, Gary.
Hello, Egberto. Long time. How you doing?
Talk to me, my brother.
Well, I had a very strange experience this morning. I was listening to the news and I was reading the newspaper, and a couple of things hit me that might possibly illuminate what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now this government shutdown is going on, and let me say we know about the 1%, the billionaires, and who is that? Ocasio-Cortez?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, yes. But Gary, hold on a second. Gary, hold on a second. Gary, hold on a second. Hold on. Folks, all my lines except for Gary are free. I know you have input to what we've been talking about. Please give us a call, new caller or not. And by the way, folks, I want to hear from you, whatever ideological position you hold. 713-526-5738. You'll get on right away because I want to hear your input into this conversation. Thank you very much, Gary. Come on in.
Okay, well, here's the point. Billionaires.
Yes.
You mentioned Bill Gates and these people.
Yes, sir.
Now, most people can't do the numbers, but let me tell you, if you have $1 billion, you would need to spend $1 million a year for 1,000 years to come up with $1 billion.
Wow.
1 million. Are you there?
I'm here.
All right, $1 million a year. I could live on that. I'm living on $24,000 a year Social Security. I could use $1 million, a nice new Ferrari. It'd be okay. But $1 billion means you would have to spend $1 million a year for 1,000 years. Now,
there you go.
In the same country, the United States of America, I heard today, the government shutdown is affecting the SNAP food stamp program.
Yes.
There are 30 million human beings who are American citizens that have to use food stamps to eat, and yet we have some people that would have to spend $1 million a year for 1,000 years in the same country. So kudos to you for pointing this out.
Gary, thank you so kindly. Coming from you, that means a lot. Remember, you've been a caller for a long time, and I know all the things you believe in, from overpopulation to all these other issues. So thank you so kindly for those kudos, sir.
I care about our planet. That's what it boils down.
Amen. Amen, brother. Amen. Well, look, you keep listening, Gary. You keep calling, and thank you so kindly for the call, brother.
If you don't love Earth, you're going to have to move to Mars. Sorry. Got no other choices.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Gary. All right, Bill, line 2. But before I come into Bill, let me tell you, folks, that all lines are open after Bill. So give us a call at 713-526-5738. Again, that is 713-526-5738. Bill, come on in.
Yeah, I'm just calling to encourage you to get ahead to what you promised about 10, 15 minutes ago, which is to tell us about the new economy. You keep going back and talking about what's wrong with the old one, but you haven't said anything about the new one yet.
Okay, thank you so kind. You know what? You know why I love callers? Because you guys have a way of throwing us and putting us in our place. And you know what? You're so right about that. So let me go ahead. I wanted to take calls, but what I'm going to do is hold off on the next call. Come on in, folks, 713-526-5738. I'm going to explain what the new economy looks like now, Bill. Okay?
Okay, great.
Thank you. All right. Here is a new economy. It's bifurcated, okay? One, we have it divided in half. There are certain resources that we keep in the commons, and there are certain resources that remain that should be remaining in what I call free enterprise. I explained that my contractor, that's how I was going to start it. My contractor is the ideal person to show what a real economy is. He has a business. His business, he employs quite a few people. The people that he employs, he gives, he buys their insurance, he gives them a good salary, and likewise they come and they bill. So all of that looks the same. Remember earlier when I was speaking about a new economy does not really need to have a revolution. That's what I mean. We do not have to have a revolution. We just have to do it correctly and eliminate the excess labor that's been stolen by the wealthy. So we have anything that you want to do. You want to be a baker, you can form your own bakery. You want to work for somebody else, you can work for that baker. You can work for that engineering firm. All of that remains the same. But here's a major difference. All health care is paid out of general funds, and every single American that works or that makes money, I just shouldn't say work, every single American that makes money contribute to the health of the country, because we're not looking at the health of the individual, we're looking at the health of the country. So numero uno is that all healthcare is covered for absolutely everybody sitting on this earth, on our land here. Number two, when it comes to resources, when it comes to energy, any part of our economy that is considered essential, anything that is considered essential is either nationalized or heavily regulated. Here's what I mean by that exactly. Electricity, something that all of us need, will be nationalized. There's no ingenuity in generating electricity. So why should millionaires and billionaires make a profit from throwing electricity out that is just a burning of fossil fuel and converting it into electricity? The development of these technologies can occur in the engineering sphere, where it is for profit, but when it is time to turn it into production, it is absolutely in the commons, run by an entity without the profit motive, period. So energy, that's where it goes. And the same occurs for oil. Let me tell you the evil within the oil companies, okay? Oil that's found all over America does not belong to the individual owner of that land, does not belong to the corporations that are pulling it out of the ground. That is theft of the commons. Why? It was placed there by whoever designed the planet, God or whatever you want to call it. Why is it that some people, because they were able to buy some land that was earlier stolen from somebody else, should be able to get rich at the expense of other Americans? Because they have the wherewithal, they have the capital to drill and take that money and make a profit out of it. It makes absolutely no sense. So oil nationalization, absolutely so. It is a must, because that has been a theft that has occurred for too long. So we talk about energy, we talk about healthcare, and the other thing that we have to talk about is, well, the other things like food and so forth. If you can't afford your own food, we already have the programs that we have designed to take care of ensuring that nobody starves to death or any of those issues. But when you put things in that perspective, and by the way, I am these are rough ideas of what makes a new economy. But the idea is you are going to walk out of your house and you are not going to feel any stress of if a car hits you, somehow you won't be able to get health care. You're going to be able to go into your house, even if you live in the northernmost part of America, and not think that somehow you could freeze to death. There is something called humanity. We maintain humanity, and thereafter we can make profits on all the insidious things. There's enough for us. If you take a look at all the things that kids have today, you take a look at what they must have and what they have. What they have that isn't a must is enough to keep a very, very vibrant, independent, standalone economy. So this isn't ironed out in a document, in a white paper for you, Bill. But you know what? As you listen to more of my programs, a lot of that will be articulated. There is a new way. We have been programmed into believing that things have to work the way it works in this current capitalist system. It does not. And we have to teach ourselves that it does not. We cannot continue to be indoctrinated. Line 2, let's go to Josen. Come on in.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, my name is Jose Hernandez. I'm just calling to make a suggestion.
Yes.
I'm Puerto Rican.
Yes.
And I would like to hear more programs like yours talking about more about the situation that is happening in my island. We are passing so much necessity right now in the island, and I don't hear here in the United States people talking about that.
And you know what, Josen, I'm going to ask you for forgiveness, and you're absolutely right about that. I should probably start every one of my programs with what America is doing with one of its territories, okay? Because you are an American.
Yes,
you are an American like any other American.
You know? Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, we are the last colony in this world. Actually, President Obama, before he leaves the presidency, he puts a board of 11 people to make decisions on the island.
Right.
That's incredible. In 2019, we don't have a self-government. We are not part of this nation, but we don't have liberty. You know.
Right. Right. Look, let me tell you first. I feel for the people. Yo soy panameño, así que entiendo lo que todo está pasando allá. Así que entiendo todo lo que está pasando. Let me tell you something, my dear brother. You just woke me up. I talk economics. I talk social justice. I talk economic justice. And where is one of the worst worse cases of economic justice failure and social justice failure in this country than in Puerto Rico. Así que,
I agree with you.
so I will make sure that we speak more on the issue, my friend. And for those of you who don't know, Puerto Rico is, I like the way he said it, Puerto Rico is a United States colony. Nobody can tell them to go do it on their own because they don't have the rights to do it on their own, given that they are a part of the United States and must follow quite a few rules. They were abused with this capitalist system when a lot of the corrupt folks in Puerto Rico were caused to buy were encouraged to buy a whole lot of to convert a lot of their debt into bonds.
Exactly.
Which meant they had to pay higher interest rates than anybody else, which gutted the teacher system. The teacher retirement, it gutted a whole lot of different areas in Puerto Rico. And let me tell you, folks, this was another case of the capitalist system draining the resources of a country. They used it as a tax haven. The drug companies did. As you can see, Josean, I know quite a bit about what occurred in Puerto Rico. I was derelict in not specifically talking more about what's going on in that territory, and I will do better.
I would like to add more, but I have an appointment. But I want to tell something to the people that maybe they don't know this.
Yes.
But we don't have any representation in the Congress.
Right.
We don't have any representation anywhere.
Exactly.
So, for example, if the United States says today that we are going to give Puerto Rico to China, actually they can do that.
Exactly.
So that's the democracy that my people is living there. And talking about teachers, I'm a teacher, and I have to move to the United States, not because I don't love my island. It's beautiful. It's perfect weather. It's just because my retirement plan was broke.
Exactly.
So I didn't have another option.
Exactly. Well, let me tell you, please get in touch with me because I'd like, given that I have a contact with you as a teacher as well, info@politicsdoneright.com. Info@politicsdoneright.com. Touch bases with me when you get a chance, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you so kindly, sir. You have a wonderful day. Okay, let's go to Matthew, line numero 3. Come on in, Matthew.
Mr. Egberto.
Yes, sir.
I have a quick question, and
Yes.
maybe you can help me with it. We hear a lot about the unemployment is down.
Yes, sir.
And then we also hear that people are underemployed.
Yes.
Okay. And a lot of these people that are employed, they're kept part-time to avoid benefits.
Yes, sir.
Now, they're not on the unemployment roll, so that looks good.
Yes.
But they hate their jobs.
Yes.
And one reason they hate their job is because they get no benefits because they kept it part-time.
True.
And in my case, I'm retired, collecting Social Security, and I've got a little part-time job, couple days a week at a community college, and most of the folks I work with are kept part-time to avoid benefits.
Sure.
And, I just paid my property taxes yesterday, and one line is in there goes to Lone Star College.
Right.
And I can't understand why my property taxes can't afford to pay these people full-time.
Look, there's this thing that they call these new professors. It has a catchy name, right? You are a what do you call these teachers? These professors.
Well, you're an adjunct, but I'm not talking about teachers. I'm talking about staff.
And that's fine. I just wanted.
Staff.
Yeah, you're right. And sir, you're absolutely right. The reason I brought up the teachers as well is because you have people that have history degrees and all these things, and they go to work at these community college and they call them, I don't remember what kind of professors they call them, but anyhow, you're correct. Here's the deal. The reason they're underpaid is also a function of capitalism. Here's what I mean. In the state of Texas, we give all these breaks to corporations, right? We give them all these options not to pay taxes. And when it comes to paying for the schools, however, we make it a function largely on what the property taxes are in the area. In the case of Lone Star College, look at where Lone Star College is. Lone Star College is in a property poor district, unlike, let's say, places like San Jacinto, where have the places where have oil companies, all the refineries, etc. But then there's another caveat: all these oil refineries get all these breaks, right? Yeah. So that reduces the tax base, and in reducing the tax base, so they tell all these universities and colleges, you have to reduce your cost, and in reducing your cost, Where do you think they reduce their costs? They can't change the building. They can't change a lot of these other issues. But guess what they can do? They can say we're not going to give you increases in your salary. They can say we're going to reduce the amount of people that are working there. They can say we can reduce the amount of hours that you're going to work. But you see, we tolerate that, sir. We tolerate that because we are the ones who elect the board for these different colleges. We can force, when the election for the board is coming on, we can tell them this is what we want you to do and force them to do it. But then again, we get somebody like our current mayor who we said, hey, mayor, we want you to pay the firemen just like you pay the police officers. And even after a vote, we have a mayor saying, oh, well, if we do that, we're going to have to fire them. And they're trying to get out of it. We have to take back control of our government. We have to take back control of our government, and we can do it. But what to do it, we have to show the wherewithal. We have to get rid of the apathy that we have right now. And it's sort of a self-defeating thing. We get apathy because when we suggest to do things, it doesn't get done. So we say throw our hands up in the air and say, well, might as well don't worry about it because nothing's going to get done. I am here to say that no, we need to stick with the program and we can get it done. So I'm with you, sir. Anything else you want to add?
Thank you, Egberto.
You have a great day, Matthew. Okay, let's go to MOD. And, folks, we have empty lines, 713-526-5738. There were like 4 people on and that just dropped. So give us a call back. I'll get to you right after MOD. So give us a call. I'll get to you right after MOD. All right, come on in, MOD.
Hello.
Hello.
Do you think it's like we're past what's the word? You mentioned capitalism, right?
Yes.
And is there how do I start this?
That's okay.
Where I really want to seek and find out where there's any lingerance of what would be considered regulated capitalism, because I don't think there is. What we have is unregulated capitalism.
Well,
throughout this.
Mm-hmm. If you were to ask them, MOD, if you were to ask, folks, we have empty lines, 713-526-5738. Look, if you don't want me to go into a long monologue after MOD, which I have a lot of words for a long monologue on this economy, go give me a call and tell me what you want me to answer, 713-526-5738. But trust me, I am never lost for words, my brothers and my sisters. Go ahead, MOD.
So if we... In 1999, in the first evening of the Christmas recess, the Senator Phil Graham introduced what's known as the Graham-Leach-Bailey Act.
Yes.
And buried in there, what was taught in schools as PII, personal information identity rights and stuff like that. But was what his wife Wendy Graham brought as a model called Enron looping, speculative markets. And so it's pretty much the deregulation of most every industry in this country. So we've been deregulated almost on every aspect of energy, education, healthcare. That's how come we have a middleman there taking 30% of our costs. It's not. You have an insurance company deeming whether or not you live or die now. Right. So what I'm just trying to say is we're past capitalism. We're in Carl's book of unregulated capitalism run amok.
Well, theoretically speaking, MOD, capitalism is unregulated. Theoretically speaking, okay? It is unregulated. Now, because humanity has value, because there are certain things that... Remember, capitalism, the sole purpose of that guy is to optimize how money flows to the owners of capital, period. Oh, wow, the phone just exploded. So I'm going to have to go pretty quickly. But after we get the profit, so it maximizes profits. That may mean pollution. That may mean a whole lot of reasons to maximize profit.
Okay, so unregulated capitalism is modern-day slavery, okay?
Yes, well, I've written about that. You're correct.
Okay. And so what I'm trying to get to is we have what's called privatization.
Yes.
Since Bill Clinton's prison code reform.
Yes.
Since Betsy DeVos, who's buddies with Beto's wife, who's a director on El Paso Charter District. So what we have now is coming in is called South Chicago Austerity.
Oh, yes, that was put out by the good old Chicago boys. Actually, it got all the way...
Milton Friedman.
Yes.
Milton
Friedman, yes.
And it's called Austerity Economics.
Yeah.
And so what you do is, after deregulation, which was the Grand
Mark, I'm coming to you next. Yeah.
Okay, and now we have privatization. Trump's job is to finish privatizing what he can. That would be like a stimulus to the infrastructure, $1.3 trillion he asked last year, remember?
Yes, MOD.
Okay, all right, buddy. Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you, brother. Okay, let's go to Mark. Come on in, Mark.
Hi. How do you think we could get money out of politics? You have the politicians making these laws,
right?
And they're getting rich off of it, and they're the ones who are going to have to pass the laws to get rid of the money out of politics.
And
what can we do?
Wait, here's what we can do. I'm glad you asked that. Okay, first of all, we look at all the politicians that are running, including for president right now. The only one that's running for president that I know of that said they weren't going to take PAC money is Elizabeth Warren. That's what I've heard so far, that she's not going to take corporate money. Let's see if she can hold to that. Now, the other thing about it, though, is that a lot of the things that are going to get passed, we have to, the good thing about Congress turns over for the entire 430 something folks every 2 years. We have to, in every district, have progressives in every district channeling this money out of politics and showing them that they can win. That is the most important thing. We get a few people to win with grassroots power. In other words, we get like what they did here in Houston, Texas, and in Harris County. There are a lot of folks who won Harris County had no money. I know Harris County is not the country, but it's a huge area. We had so many grassroots organizations really hitting the pavement hard for a lot of candidates that had no money. And they're all judges. They're all a whole lot of things in Harris County now. So we have proven that it's not all about money. It's if you're willing to do the work, if you're not lazy. What we have now is a lot of lazy politicians who take the money, give the money to consultants, give the money. Those consultants go ahead and tell them who to pay. And most of the times they're going into communities that don't know anything about the candidate and that are only seen then. What I'm saying is we really need to do grassroots efforts in. And I think Harris County in 2018 is a template to follow. And that's what I've been bringing a whole lot of the activists that were a part of that movement onto Politics Done Right so that we can enlighten not just folks in Texas, but around the country of how it can be done without a whole lot of money. So you're absolutely right, Mark. The guys who have to vote against taking money seem to be the ones taking money, but slowly we can change that, brother.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You have a wonderful day. All right, let's go to Lynn, line numero 1. Come on, Lynn.
Yes, hi. I was listening in. It's the first time ever calling a radio station.
Great.
So I had a thought.
Yes.
That I wanted you to address.
Yes, ma'am.
And in any governmental system, it can always go wrong because you're dealing with humanity.
Yes.
And at the bottom, you have some good and you have some bad.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think when you're talking about capitalism, it is something that is fueled by human greed.
Yes.
And so there is no perfect solution. Unfortunately, we live in a society that we base on money.
Right.
And one of the things that I haven't heard was this concept of a flat tax or approaching things from a standpoint where those that rise to control have some stopgaps on them so that you don't have an excessive greed.
You're a genius.
I've seen it here in Houston, people doing things that have power because they can and ruining others. That was the scenario of Enron.
Lynn.
And I'd like to hear something about that.
Lynn, I want to first tell you that there are two big concepts you just brought in, okay? One is that everything is corruptible, and two is that why don't we have a stopgap measure? In other words, there's nobody that's worth $1 billion. That is the excess labor of everybody else. Now,
because your money does not guarantee your status. It means you have a big bank account.
Thank you.
And, we have a concept that, the menial labor where people aren't getting what they deserve. It's a cultural value of their work.
Right.
They're itself is not important.
Lynn, I'm not going to have enough time to completely answer your question because I have Tori and Gary to go to, but here's what I want to tell you. Remember, the two things, you're enlightened. The two things that you just brought up are so very important, and please continue to listen to the show because those are areas we're going to touch on. Okay, Lynn?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so kindly. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, let's go to Tori. Come on in, Tori.
Oh, hello.
Yes, sir.
So, in order to get this dialectic going here, you know, there's a lot of people that are just talking past each other that have ideological perspectives.
Yes.
You know, different words mean different things to different people, like capitalism and socialism. It's difficult to use those words in a conversation with a wide group because they mean different things.
Exactly.
As a writer, a poet, a social studies teacher, historian, it's important to use non-ideological language. And so when it comes to capitalism and socialism, I wound up trying to use things like public ownership versus private ownership.
Wow.
And it really helps because it's like plumbing or algebra. You put things into non-emotional stuff. And so you can, you know, just like a math problem, you can make equations out of the way that power flows through a system.
Tori, the reason my program is interactive, right, is I always talk about concurrent learning, right, is what you've just said. You know, I've talked about personalizing things with people, right, but I even prefer the way that you said that. You know, I kind of the terminology that you're using when it comes to empower, the form of empowerment that you're talking about. That is very, very good, and I will start adding that to my narrative because you are absolutely and you are very right in the concept.
And so when I want to talk about capitalists, I talk about business people or the business class instead of the capitalist class.
Right.
And that way, you know, everybody kind of understands what you're saying.
Right.
People have biases.
Right.
And you want to speak past those biases. You want to get through them.
Tori, I've said similar things before, but I prefer sort of the nomenclature that you're giving. So, you know, thank you so kindly. I have to run to the other caller, but thank you for the addition, brother.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's go to Gary. Oops. Did I lose Gary? I think I lost Gary. So anyhow, so folks, I don't have any more calls, and I have about, let's see, I got 2 minutes again, or 1 minute. 1 minute. I got 1 minute. 2 minutes. You know, I've got 2 minutes to talk. What am I going to say for 2 minutes? Oh, my God. Folks, I have the best darn listeners, bar none. If you listen to all the ideas that came in here, if you listen to all the questions that were asked, if you listen to all the folks that are actually engaged in this system, there's one thing that we see. People talk about apathy, right? Apathy is contagious. But you know what else is contagious? The dissolving of apathy. When a group of folks see others working towards something, when a group of folks see, oh my God, there's somebody out there trying to make a difference, other people react. I want to tell a quick story about this last election in Harris County, okay? There is a young man, he's now a judge, and I'm going to give the name because he was out there working hard. I love this guy, William Bill McLeod. He called me up one time and he said, Egberto, I am going to create a ground game in Houston. And this ground game was responsible for engaging people throughout the county. And I remember one time he called me and he said, hey, we're meeting in North Houston. And I said, okay, I'm coming, but I didn't want to come. I had a lot of blogging to do. And, you know, he just said, at least come for an hour. And I went for an hour and I stayed longer. He was disappointed because 50 people were there on a Friday. Come on. That was great. But he kept the pressure on. This guy kept so much pressure on. It was contagious. People wanted to get out there. People wanted to get out there and do even more work. So apathy is contagious, but the breaking of the apathy is even more contagious. And when the wind occurs from the break of the apathy, it goes on and it makes us move forward. This is politics done right. My name is Egberto Willis, and I thank you so kindly for being here. And you know how I end this, baby. I am out.
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.